Ladies and gentlemen, Call of Duty is cooked. Activision is sharing in fear as they have been spending more money on making games and making less out of it. Their player numbers have significantly gone down. So there's this misconception going around in the community for a while, since development costs for both Black Ops Cold War and Modern Warfare 19 have came out respectively. So in this video, we are going to kind of analyze the situation and find out what's really happening. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 19 cost around $640 million to make. A very large number, but not surprising because MW19 was in the oven for a very long time. It had a lot of stuff going on. It used a upgraded engine, not to mention it also had Warzone. So it makes sense for this game to cost this much. But then we have Black Ops Cold War. This game cost around $700 million to make, which is way higher than what MW19 cost. And this game doesn't really make any sense because this game was a slight downgrade to what MW19 was. In contrast, it used the same engine as Black Ops 4 and overall wasn't up to the standards of what MW19 was, but there is a slight explanation for it. So originally this game was being made by Sledgehammer Games and Raven Software until they had a fallout and then Treyarch had to step in. This game also had a shorter development cycle, not to mention that this game was made in the pandemic, which then actually makes sense why this game costed a lot more. But then comes the misconception that these games have been costing a lot and have been making no money at all. And that statement is very untrue. To give an example, the best-selling game of 2019 was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 19. The best-selling game of 2020 was Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. The second best-selling game of 2020 was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 19. If we were to come around some estimations, take this with a grain of salt. Modern Warfare 19 made around $2.46 billion. Taking microtransactions and everything in account, it made around $3 billion in total. While Black Ops Cold War, on the other hand, made around $1.8 billion in revenue. Taking everything in account, it made around $2 billion in total revenue. So with a short answer, no, these games have not been a commercial failure, rather have been a commercial success. And I don't think that Call of Duty will stop making money anytime soon. To take in contrast, their worst game ever, Call of Duty Vanguard, was the bestseller of 2021. Not to mention that Black Ops 6, despite being on Game Pass, has been the second best-selling game of 2024. And it's only based on the data of 3 months. So no, Activision has not been losing any sort of money, but rather has been making a lot of money. On the account of player numbers, yes, Call of Duty isn't doing great in that field as of right now. At the time of recording, there have been around 80,000 people playing Call of Duty HQ on Steam. This is kind of low for Call of Duty standards on Steam. It should be at least around 100k, but it isn't less in any case. There's a large number of people playing off of Game Pass, Battle.net, PlayStation, and Xbox. So the total number would be a lot higher than what it is on Steam. And this isn't the first time a Call of Duty game has lost half of its interest and player base a few months after launch. There was MW19, there was MW2 2022, which basically had the same thing going around. And this is basically a part of the COD cycle. The game is really good at launch, then suddenly people start hating it after a few months, and then a new Call of Duty game gets announced, the hype is created, and then it's suddenly the best Call of Duty game ever, and then suddenly it's the worst Call of Duty game ever. Me personally, I think Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at its core is a decently good game. It is better than Vanguard and MW3 combined, but it has its issues and Activision does deserve the hate they're getting right now. The game is plagued by hackers and unfair matchmaking system, not to mention it is the most over-monetized Call of Duty game ever. To give you an idea on how over-monetized this game is, there's the Battle Pass, which costs around 1100 COD points, but then there's the Black Cell Battle Pass, which is basically a premium version of the Battle Pass that gives you extra content and better content and costs around $24. You cannot buy it from COD points and you cannot probably gift it. And the base Battle Pass is just so soulless and bland that you automatically are forced kind of in a sense to buy the Black Cell Battle Pass. Then if there's an event like as of right now, there's a Squid Game event, there's the free pass, and then there's a premium pass which costs 1100 COD points and includes 3 guns and a frontman skin and some other smaller side stuff, but it isn't big as a battle pass would be. Then there's some AI generated bundles which cost from $15 to $30 and the game itself is a $70 purchase. So is there an actual solution to these problems? Yes and no. There is always a solution, but looking at Activision, they're only going to solve one of these three problems, and that is the hacker problem. I think by Activision standards, it's the only thing they could actually solve. On the basis of unfair matchmaking system, they don't really care, and they're not going to stop because they hate the player base. And they have already said that they're not going to stop with making all the weird skins because it's technically fun and they don't want to ruin fun aspect of their games, which is basically feeding copium to their player base. They know that the player base doesn't like these things, but they still want to shove it down through our throats, and they will continue doing so. Another point I would like to add is the AI moderation and voice chats. Basically, you cannot use any swear words or trash talk at all, or else you get muted and shadow banned, which is basically removing the core audience of Call of Duty. The multiplayer game feels bland and soulless. It is ironic for a rated M for mature game to tell you to stop swearing when they already have swear words in the campaign, not to mention that they sell you guns with all the haram smoking stuff. This is literally 1984. Unfortunately though, there is still a chance that they might not even address the cheating problem and give us a better anti-cheat system, because we've been asking for that since the MW19 days. And if you remember correctly, the MW19 cheating problem was hilarious back in the Warzone days. They kept giving us promises of a new anti-cheat system every game, so it doesn't seem that they'll just magically pop out and give us a actual anti-cheat system anytime soon. The only thing they can actually do is just take action on a significant amount of hackers and cheat sellers, but when the game is closer to its end cycle, since they kind of did a similar thing back when Black Ops 6 was announced, they took action on a lot of cheat sellers. Basically, it was a little marketing stunt. So basically, they wanted to sell you the game on the promise that there won't be any hackers in the next game. We have a really amazing anti-cheat system. You don't need to worry. None of them exist and blah, blah, blah. 3 months later, the game is plagued by hackers. And I don't think that they'll be focusing more on community feedback, since Treyarch has already started their focus on the next Call of Duty game, which is this year's title, which is supposedly a sequel to Black Ops 2's future timeline, and will act as a standalone expansion to Black Ops 6, kind of like what MW3 did to MW2. So in a sense, a recycled, reskinned Black Ops 6. Basically Black Ops 6.5, but it is actually going to be decently different because it's set in the future. So all of this is just a part of the COD cycle. The community will love Call of Duty again when they announce the next game. They'll love it when it launches, and then a few months later, apparently the game sucks and is the worst Call of Duty game ever. So basically, both the developers and the community is wrong, at least in my opinion, because both of them don't know what they want and both of them don't know what to do. Well, that's it for today, guys. Hope you guys found this video interesting. If you did, consider subscribing. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching and goodbye.